Hey, welcome back to another episode with the Local Connection with the Givlin Gals. Money, money, money. How can you keep more money, grow your profits without having to make more sales? With Mickey Pendergast of Schooley Mitchell, you're going to learn a ton on this one. Welcome to the Local Connection with the Givlin Gals, where we unravel the secrets of successful marketing with passion and purpose. I'm Jenn, your guide through the dynamic world of business strategies.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Local Connection with the Givlin Gals. Jenn and Victoria here. Today I have Mickey Pendergast with Schooley Mitchell, a cost reduction consultant. And how can we increase our profit without increasing our sales? So thank you very much, Mickey, for being here with us today.
No, my pleasure.
So Mickey, there's only so many hours in the day. And as a business owner, I try to jam as much as I can in.
Of course.
Our topic is how I can grow the money in my pocket without having to go out and make more sales. How does that work?
Well, we focus on an area that a lot of people don't have. You touched on time, which is a key element. A lot of business owners just don't have the time to pay attention to their expenses. They're focused on taking care of their customers, which they should be, taking care of their employees, which they should be, growing their sales, which they should be. But if someone's not watching the expenses, then all that additional revenue just leaks out the back door. So it quite often is a time thing, time and resources. But if you can, every penny you cut on the expense side, drops straight to the bottom of the page, becomes profit. Sales, you have to grow sales. It usually entails additional cost, right? You have to pay your sales guys or bonus your sales guys. You have to buy the product. If you sell something for $100, you had to buy it for $50. So, and then there's what else, shipping and who knows what other costs associated with. Most companies have a bottom line of 5, 10, 15 points. So you grow your sales by 10% doesn't mean the bottom line grows by the same number of dollars, only by a percentage. Whereas every dollar you save on the expense side becomes profit.
Fantastic.
That's a beautiful lesson. So in terms of the things that you're able to help on cost reduction, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's areas we don't do, which is probably the easiest to start with. We don't work on things like cost of goods sold, so your materials that you use to run your business, we don't touch that. We don't have anything to do with human resources, none of your people, payroll, that sort of thing, insurance, taxes. That's all outside the realm of what we do. Our scope is entirely inside what most people refer to as operating expenses or overhead. Things like the phone bill, the garbage bill, shipping, couriers, fuel, compressed gases, e-signature, just the boring bills that you pay every month, quite often get neglected or pushed onto an AP person just to process and sign off on, but no one ever spends the time to dig deep into them to see if there's any opportunities for savings, either through optimizing or deeper discounting, those sorts of things. That's what we've been doing for 30 years, and we specialize in that specifically.
So how did you get into this? What made you stumble across this part of business that most of us just look at and go, okay, it's the cost of doing business and I will just continue on with it?
Right. So it was partly a stumble, so that wasn't inaccurate. I was self-employed for a number of years, owned my own business in various aspects of the food business. And then I worked in the corporate world for a company I used to be a customer of, a food equipment and supplies distribution company. I was a VP of operations. And this was one of the areas I looked at. First of all, when I was self-employed, you always have to watch your costs. And then I learned a lot working for this corporate company. I was there about 10 years. And then they had a change of ownership. And a bunch of us got packaged off while they reorganized their company. So I was looking for something to do. And I decided I was probably going to start a business or buy a business, just because of the way the economy was in the mid-20 teens. And so I was looking for something that wasn't 7 days a week, like a lot of, if you're going to buy a business, if it's anything retail or whatever, it's 7 days a week. And so something in the B2B world attracted me because that's where I lived, that's where I worked. And so when I came across Schooley Mitchell, a Canadian company with about 250 offices across North America, there's an opportunity to buy the Calgary office and piggyback onto existing infrastructure, an existing model that was already in place, and talk a language I was really comfortable with from my days being both in that operational role for that company and self-employed. So it was a good opportunity to build that business and develop the autonomy I wanted for my own sort of work-life balance, while speaking a language around something that I really believe is important for a successful business.
So who's your ideal client?
Ideal client. Well, we only do businesses. We don't do anything personal. So it's a business-to-business model. And we have two fee models. One is a standard consulting model where we were paid an hourly rate to do a deep dive into your expenses and see if we can find some savings for you. The one that's most popular, though, is our contingency model, which is we'll take a deep dive into those same numbers, prepare a report, come back to you in a few weeks, however long it takes. And if we're successful in finding savings, then we share the savings for a period of time. If we don't find savings under that model, then we don't get paid. That's what people like about it, is that they will go to all that. We have a team of 130 people at our head office. We have a database of 30,000 clients we've done this for. So we've got some inside knowledge and some leverage that our clients can piggyback onto. And if we go through that whole process and dig deep and go through every penny, every single contract, all the stuff we need to do, and find no savings, then it's still a benefit to the client because they now have the peace of mind knowing that they're not wasting any money, that a third-party expert that does have the time and the resources, that does this all day long every day, can't find any savings, then they can carry on with their business. It doesn't happen that often. We're successful about 90% of the time in finding savings, but so that lead up to your question, the ideal client under that contingency model has to be a business that's big enough, that they're spending enough, that our share of the savings is enough to justify the work that we do. So we're not a particularly good fit for solopreneurs and mom and pops and startups unless they want to spend that consulting fee, which most of them really don't. So some of our clients are more sort of in the white collar world. If you're looking at telecom and merchant services, white collar retail. But a lot of our clients now, since we've added categories like waste handling and courier and shipping supplies and facility supplies as a categories, can be more like warehouse manufacturing, merchandising, import, export. It's really more about the size. In order to qualify for our contingency model, a company has to be spending a certain amount. The thresholds are different for every category, but it's typically someone who's got kind of 15 or 20 employees or more. They're spending enough money that our typical savings, which is around 25%. It's a substantial number if you're spending some money. If we can save you 25% on category X and we split that, let's say, for example, a client not that long ago was spending about $5,000 a month on their telecom, cell phones, landlines, internet, that whole package. We got them down to $4,000 for exactly the same level of service. So that $1,000 they were going to send to TELUS, we split it. We did all the work. So they're going, well, why wouldn't I do that? Like, that's exactly the same phones, the same numbers, the same service, the same everything. And it's $1,000 a month that I was going to send to the phone company, no questions asked. And now we split it. So if they're only spending $100 a month, I got them down to 80. Well, now we split $20, and I got to pay my analysts. That doesn't work.
Right.
So the industry isn't all that important. It's as long as they have that critical mass, or they're spending enough that we can have an impact for them.
And I thought that was really fascinating when Mickey and I talked too, in that like there can be a headache or a wariness about like changing providers or anything like that, but that's not necessarily what Mickey is saying that you need to do at all. You can keep the current providers, you can stay with the people that you've already built the relationships with, but they know the right terms and the right things to say in order to have you stay with the current provider and just optimize that sort of.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's an important differentiator. We're not a broker or a provider of any of the services. There's 14 categories that we consult to, but we don't provide or act as a broker for any of those services. All of our reports include a recommendation for staying with your incumbent provider, because that's obviously the least disruption. If we can get you a re-rate with your existing provider that's similar to what we're finding in the market, a similar amount of savings, then we're fine if you stay with them, because we don't take commissions. We're vendor neutral. We don't take any kind of commissions, incentives, kickbacks from any of these vendors. We only, under the contingency model, we only get paid if we find savings. So we have our motivations are aligned with our clients. We sit on their side of the table, act as their watchdog, sort of make sure that they're not wasting any money, they're not spending any money that they shouldn't, they're not being overcharged or gouged, or no duplications, whatever. And they can piggyback onto much, much deeper discounts than they can get on their own. And we don't care if they stay or change. Either way, we help manage the implementation. If it's just a simple re-rate with your existing provider, we help manage that paperwork and coordinate all the communication. If it does require a change of vendor, like new SIM cards or new waste bins or whatever, then we help manage that so it's as seamless as possible. There's a little disruption to your business during that switch, But in the meantime, they can carry on with their business, and we try and facilitate that. And then we continue to monitor the bills during the course of our engagement. So every month we keep getting copies of the bills. We double check, run it through our software to make sure that there's no changes. If there is an unauthorized increase, the software will alert the analyst that's on that file. The analyst will then reach out to the vendor and say, hey, unauthorized increase here, put that credit back in my client's account, and then they pursue the credit on the client's behalf. We're motivated to find that credit, obviously, because if the amount of the savings shrinks, then so does our share. So we're on our client side of the table entirely. So.
Wow, that is quite an opportunity that I think a lot of people don't know about. If they wanted to know more about you and where to find you, where would they go?
Well, I have a LinkedIn page, obviously, Mickey Pendergast at Schooley Mitchell. There's a website as well, Schooley Mitchell Calgary. And my cell phone, I think it's on the page there, but it's 403-875-4777.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much for coming in today and
Thanks
helping
for
us
having me.
find money without having to increase our sales.
Yeah, one of my clients says, it's like finding change in the couch cushions. Money I didn't even know I had.
There you go.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the Local Connection. We're looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Local Connection. Remember, implement those marketing gems and watch your business soar. I'm Jen, signing off with inspiration. Until next time.